progress. And so if you want to progress, if you want to live the life of your dreams, if you want to realize your greatest potential, you got to prioritize and you got to be passionate. Passion is more than an emotion. Passion is an internal resolution that will not allow you to quit. Write that down. Passion is not just an emotion or a feeling. It is an internal resolution that does not allow you to quit or give up. And so people are like, how do you continue to do what you do day in and day out, and you've done it for so long, and you continue to do it? And it's not that you don't have moments where you just don't feel like doing it and you want to say forget it. But the thing that really drives and motivates me is that I'm so passionate about it. I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about innovation. I'm passionate about visionary leadership and thought leadership. I'm passionate about training and developing leaders. I'm passionate about this podcast. I'm passionate about the projects that I'm involved with. And so if you're going to go the distance and you're going to have sustainability and staying power, you got to be passionate about what it is that you're doing. If you're not satisfied with where you are in your life, then you can always make a shift. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about life is that you don't have to stay where you are. You always have the ability to choose something different and to do something different. And for most people, 2023 will simply be a replay and a repeat of 2022. What I know to be true is that dreams without drive die. That is the honest truth, that if you have a dream and you don't have any drive, that dream is going to die. And this is why people live in that realm called someday. As you've heard me say, that someday is not a day of the week, and someday will never bring you into a realm of success and prosperity. So if you keep saying someday and one day, you're never going to do it. But if you start to say today, you begin to set the principles and the laws of success in motion for your life. And so I want you to get the drive and the determination to go after it, no matter what it costs. You know, so many people want to know the intricacies of success before they make the investment. And I tell them that's illegal and unlawful. You'll never know. If I knew everything that was entailed in the journey to success and becoming who I am today, I would have never started. There were so many obstacles and oppositions, I would have just said, forget it, I'll choose something easy and something different. But I wasn't wired for easy. I was wired for excellence. So I had to keep going despite the opposition and challenges. And so I don't want you to become so mesmerized and engulfed in the intricacies that you don't make the investments that will produce the success you want to see. Forget about that. I mean, make the investments. And at the end of the day, when you invest in your success, you're always going to find yourself living in a realm beyond what you ever imagined. You're going to see your potential unlocked. You're going to see realities coming into view that you never even possible for your life. And so inspiration without intention is short-lived. So it's good to be inspired. Many people listen to this podcast and they get inspired. They read my books and get inspired. They hear me give a keynote. They get inspired. They see me on television or read about me in the magazine. They get inspired. But without intentionality, that's short-lived and nothing really happens with your life. And then excitement without execution results in extinguished dreams and expired visions. And so you can't just live an excited life. You got to execute. I always ask people, what are you executing on? And when I hear the hesitation and the and, well, you know, and I was going to, it lets me know that you're making excuses and you are not taking the actions that are going to change your life. The difference in seasons are the actions you take, the associations you keep, and here we go with the new piece today, the alignment of your thinking. Now, if you have followed my work for any length of time, you know that the mind is my favorite topic on the planet because that's where I've had to do the most work. And the transformation of my mind has just shifted everything about my life. It's given me influence. It's given me a voice. It's given me thought leadership capacity to bring solutions to global issues and problems. And so it'll do the same thing for you, but you have to begin to give your mind the care and the consideration that it needs. I think it's vitally important that you don't just work on your game, but you must work on the growth of your mind. Write that down. A lot of people, especially if you're an athlete or into sports, I mean, the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend. People that succeed at the highest level work on their game. And it's good to work on your game or your gift, but so many people do not work on the growth of their mind. And for me, the growth of my mind is more important than my gift, because your gift, you know how to operate in your gift. I mean, without refinement and cultivation, it can't reach its full potential. But, I mean, your thinking is like the engine that drives everything in your life. And if your thought process and pattern is not right, then everything that you try to construct and build your life upon is going to collapse, and it's not going to be built to last. And so a mind neglected will always produce a mediocre life. Are you neglecting your mind? Because, I mean, we could go deep with this, but just from a scientific standpoint, we are presented with thousands of images on a daily basis, whether it be from your laptop, whether it be from your smartphone, whether it be from your television and commercials and advertisements, wherever it's coming from, you're constantly being bombarded with images. And the reality is that your mind is being imprinted and impressioned upon even without your permission. And so if all of this stuff is coming into your mind without your permission, imagine what you could produce in your life if you allow the right things into your mind with your permission, and how that could begin to set success in motion for you. I always say this, that I'm very intentional about what I think and also what I allow to live in my mind, because it's one thing to think a thing, it's another thing to accept a thought. And the powerful thing about you as a human being is that you don't have to accept every thought that tries to come into your mind. You have the ability to arrest a thought and to keep that thought from taking residence. Now, the problem comes in when you don't stop that thought and you don't reject it. You allow it to take residence and root in your life, and then it becomes challenging to uproot that thought from your mind once it's been planted. And so your greatest defense is to stop it before it gains the access, and I don't have time to go there today. But a mind that is nourished will produce a life of mastery, and so you got to nourish your mind. There are people, we will nourish our bodies. We're going to make sure we eat, some of us 3, some of us 4, some of us 5 times a day, but we're going to nourish our bodies, but so many people don't nourish their minds. And so you got to give the mind the nourishment that it needs so that you can have the growth mindset that will produce the realities that you want. The mind is either a place of growth or stagnation. I think it's important for us to establish that. And so for a lot of people, the mind is just a place of stagnation. Nothing is really, well, let me change that. Something is always growing in your mind. It just you have to determine what that thing is. Because negative thoughts can take root just like positive thoughts can take root. But your mind is always growing and cultivating something, but make sure that you're allowing your mind to be a place of growth and not a place of stagnation. An uncommon future will never be born from an undeveloped mind. Write that down. An uncommon future will never be born from an undeveloped mind. And so, as you've heard me say many times before, there are 12 environments that you must cultivate for a life of, success and prosperity. But in order to create that life of success and prosperity, the number one environment that you got to cultivate is your mind. And so if you're not cultivating the realm of thought, then you're not going to experience the breakthroughs, the results, the transformation, or the progress that you want to see in your life. And so many people are not developing their minds. You don't just develop your mind because you get information. You don't just develop your mind because you read a book. You don't just develop your mind because you went to a seminar. But you got to be very intentional about planting the seeds into your thought into your mind, so that it becomes part of your thought patterning process, and then you can ultimately produce the results and the reality that you want to see. You are always one decision away from a different life, but one of the things that changed my life is realizing that you are always one thought away from a different reality. And so we know